the book. I'm going to move you guys right on over here so I can still see you. And here it is. It's called Benjamin Franklin, an American Genius by K. Melchizedek Olson. And here's the table of contents. So we're going to learn about how he was a printer and how he was an inventor. And I know you guys are really interested in that. So we'll take a look at Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 today. All right, so this is how he was a printer. Chapter 1. Benjamin Franklin was born January 17th, 1706 in Boston, Massachusetts. His parents, Josiah and Abiah Franklin, lived in the 13 colonies in America. On the day of Benjamin's birth, Josiah decided his son's future career. Benjamin, you are going to grow up to be a minister when you grow up. You're going to be a minister when you grow up. Have you ever read something and then it didn't make sense and you had to go back and reread it?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me try that again. Benjamin, you are going to be a minister when you grow up. Does anybody here have parents that tell them what they're going to be when they grow up? A couple people do. By the time Benjamin was 8 years old, Josiah knew his son wasn't right for the ministry. Let's see why. Father, why don't you say grace over this barrel of meat? That way we don't have to spend time praying at every meal. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea. The nice thing about these books is that they kind of put it like we're actually like in the book, you know, and being able to be there at the time. He may or may not have actually said this, but some of the things, a lot of them are facts that are inside of the book. But the conversation part may or may not have happened. By age 12, Benjamin had finished 2 years of school. He was working in the family's soap and candle shop, but he didn't like the job. So here's what the dad says. Your brother James needs help at his print shop. How would you like to work for him? And he says, anything's better than the smell of candles and soap. Has anybody ever been to like a candle shop or a Bath and Body shop before? And do you like the smell inside of it?
Yes. Not so much.
Do you? Yeah, not so much. I heard somebody say not so much. I gotta tell you, it's a not so much for me too. So I can totally understand where Benjamin Franklin's coming from. I don't like the strong sense like that. So that must have been hard for him. And then here it says, Benjamin learned how to type from his brother James. Benjamin helped print newspapers and books. Now here's his brother. He says, as my apprentice, you must work for me without pay until you are 21 years old. And Benjamin's thinking, I'll never last here 9 years. Can you imagine having to work without getting paid at all for 9 years? No, that's pretty crazy. You know what? Your teacher did something probably like I did when I started my career. We had to work for half of a year without getting paid.
What? Oh my gosh.
Student teaching.
Yep, student teaching. I had to get another job so that I can pay for the time that I was student teaching. So I was working full time, not getting paid. But that's the way it goes sometimes when you're learning how to do a craft, when you're learning to do a skill or learn a new a job. But Benjamin found advantages to being a printer. The shop was filled with many interesting books. Hey, that looks like my office, doesn't it, you guys?
Yeah.
You can take time for lunch now, Benjamin. I'm not hungry. I'd rather read than eat. I like this kid. This is my favorite kind of kid. In 1721, and oopsie, I had to move that so that I could read it. Hold on a sec. Okay, I'm not sharing anymore with you, am I?
No.
No. So I need to go back to share screen. Here we go.
There we go.
And I'm going to read it from here, and then I'll switch it back. In 1721, when Benjamin was 15, his brother began publishing the New England Courant. Benjamin secretly wrote articles in the newspaper. Who is this Silence Dogood? She writes very well. And this guy says, I only know that she's an older woman with a lot of opinions. She slips her letters under my door at night. James became angry when he discovered that his brother was Silence Dogood. How dare you trick me into printing your letters? I will never again print anything that you write. I'll see to it you never work in Boston again. You're just jealous because my articles are well written. A good printer can find work anywhere in the colonies. And then here it says, Benjamin decided to leave and find work in another city. He packed his belongings and left on a ship sailing out of Boston. And then in 1773, Franklin owned, here we go again. I have to do this. A print shop in Philadelphia. Philadelphia. That's hard to say.
Yeah.
Franklin and his wife Deborah also ran a small store from the shop. There, they sold ink, quills, paper, and other goods. Let's move this back. High Street is a good neighborhood. We are close to the heart of things. Yes, Pappy, business is good. Franklin had finally found a career he enjoyed. He printed newspapers and short books. Once a year, he printed a small book filled with useful information, and it was called The Poor Richard's Almanac, was a favorite with the colonists. Poor Richard says, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Raise your hand if you ever heard that before. A few people have. Yeah, excellent. That comes from his Poor Richard's Almanac. That's a good one, but I like this one better. Fish and visitors stink after 3 days. All right. When Franklin wasn't working, he formed a club called I'm going to guess this is the Junto, or the Junto. Franklin worried that most people did not have books to read. He urged members to help form a library. Oh, what a great idea. I'd have to say the library is my favorite place in the world. We should pool our money and buy books for others to read. Good idea, says this guy. While Franklin made his living as a printer, he kept busy helping others. Besides America's first library, Franklin formed Philadelphia's Volunteer Fire Company. When you help fight a fire, would you help fight the fire when a house is burning? I have a job. I'm too busy. But we could take turns. If everyone helps, we could have a strong fire force. And here's what he says. Hard-working citizens can do well by doing good. Now let's find out about the inventor. Now, I heard somebody say before that they talked about this kite and rain and this electricity thing. Yeah, my friend that was wearing blue, not purple. So here we're going to learn a little bit more about Benjamin Franklin. We learned about how he was an author and started many different things in his community, like the library. And now we're going to learn about Benjamin Franklin as the inventor. In 1748, at the age of 42, Franklin retired from the printing business. Franklin now had time to do science experiments. In June 1752, Franklin did his most famous experiment. And this guy says, that's a very odd kite. And he says, it's made of silk, William. I will fly this kite into the storm. See this key? It will draw fire from the clouds. He flew a kite into a thunderstorm to prove that lightning was electricity. Look at those threads on the kite are standing straight up. Crack! What does that mean? When I touch the sky, I should feel an electric shock. This doesn't sound like a good idea, you guys. Well, Father, it is true. Electricity and lightning are the same. Zap! Look, he looks like he's getting electrocuted, doesn't he? Yeah, probably not a good idea. Don't try that experiment at home.
Oh, man. I won't.
Franklin moved away from the noisy market center in Philadelphia. His